أهلا وسهلا وحياكم الله وكل عام وأنتم بخير. MashaAllah, it is the final 30th of the 9th, 1447 Hijri. It is Yawm al-Jumu'ah that we end this broadcast and transmission of this divine passage that you and I, me and you, I and my mom and I and my dad and I and my spouse and I and the universe and I had undertaken with a niyyah, to find the promise that never breaks. And mashallah, tabarakallah, what the next generations has uncovered in the Quran, the last generation for the last 1,000 years has not even touched the lower end of it. Okay. What Allah has gifted your next generations, my dear mothers and fathers, thanking your ancestors, is where you would never have ever reached in the level of faith and religious dogma that has besitted your hearts and your minds and your lifestyle. Allah is not asleep, and your children is not your children. They come with their purpose, and they come with ambition, and they come with inspiration from the highest source of divinity. MashaAllah, MashaAllah. To know your children in the higher dimensions is to know yourself. To know your children in Jahannam is to face your punishment. In this 7 years of our attempt to show our fellow mothers and fathers what was and what is the meaning of Al-Islam and what is Deen and what is religion. Okay, what is consciousness? What is spirituality? How come you cannot die? What colonial dogma and colonial gods had done to your natural order that Allah has placed inside of us all. Okay, how it has demolished and corrupted and changed you into an alien to your species and to your mother's nature. Okay. This is the price you pay when you make a mockery of Allah. When you fast, but you don't understand why you fast. Allah is not stupid like what we are. You can mislead yourself, you can con yourself, you can put so much of zina onto your cycles and onto your ages and onto your civilizations. But this time around, people, your next generation saw through the mirror. They saw through the glass. They saw what their parents had turned into becoming. Okay. Either they would continue following blindly, or they would go to the master and ask for intervention. And intervention is what they found, people. So the fast that you are understanding as shahr is now going to become dahr. Ramadan is a timeline in conscious that has no beginning nor an end. It has been inscribed kama kutiba. Okay. Allah, remember, Allah doesn't have time. It's us that has conversed ourselves into a metric, okay, a certain matrix. But in the essence of true living, okay, there is no linear times. Therefore, there is no month but season, that which is a cycle. If you, as a decomposed species of the human race, comes to understand what truly Ramadan is, you will not want to live in another zone, okay, in another conscious frame of work. But the only problem is it was only limited overs. أياما معدودات. It started in 2020, it ended in 2026. Okay. After 7 years, having pouch and having um, unraveled and having uprooted and having disconnected from all that idolic shirk modules of a life and of a God and of a storyline, okay? All that past dogma that you had been inculcated in your past civilizations, if you had found, if you had found the Medina of your ancestral translators, you should have been home by now. Okay. You should have known where you came from. You should have come to embrace the eternal understanding of Siyam. Okay. What we had done in Jahannam, which is dunya, we did window shopping, people. We did window displays. And we disrupted in the process our natural ability to interact and communicate with the unseen universe, people. We became blind, we lost our keys, we lost our direction, we lost our God in the process. And your children knows that. They know that. They know your caliber. You can make millions of salahs, go thousands of times too. But if you had associated partners to Allah like you as a past civilization who were destroyed in the witness box of their children, and you failed to find Ramadan. Okay. This 7 cycles was the entire cycle of Ramadan. Ayyamam ma'dudat. And here you had to find your keys to continue the journey, or else you will be locked up in your garage for a very long time. The Eid and the Wa'id, okay? The beauty of life is to uncover new experiences, but with a sensible presence of the divine glory and majesty. You cannot share Allah. Allah is not a wife, a woman, a lady that you can share her. Okay. What you had interpreted that a God is where you sold him and controlled him and then killed him and then rebirthed him, and that is how you continuously live that brutal lie that you cannot close the hole and therefore you fast. Okay. Today, your next generations, on behalf of all of them, we say thank you, but no thank you to the God that you could not find to save your own selves. The God that you went and chased because he could not safeguard his own Aqsa. Okay. That useless God that could not save his own mosque and his own children. Okay. That God, my dear mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, is the God for those who became blind, deaf, and dumb. That's the God that they need to find, and they need to be present when they are being punished. Because that child that was being massacred, it's you, it's you. That masjid that has been destroyed, it is your space, your sanctuary that you don't know how to return back into a sacred space and timeline. Okay. That hospitals that was destroyed, that Mustashfa Shifa, it's me and you that cannot find die salf om op die see te sit because it's te donker daar so. Okay. It's all just happening inside of us. Just those of us that could not make it home, yani, they have to accept the consequences that follows it today. Because it is عيد لأولها ولآخرها. Those who got their capped, those who were capped, okay, they have the special lenses on in their lives today. Because why? They remembered who they are. They did not become heedless. They remembered their scrolls, they remembered, and they fulfilled what they had to come and do. Okay. They knew they could not have an enemy outside if the enemy inside was not tamed. Okay. They knew they could not curse people outside because they were never born to hate. They knew that there was only one God, and those monotheist religions were all codes of Fir'aun to keep the last civilization astray. Okay. Your next generations will uncover a journey to Allah and with Allah that you could only dream of in the wildest of your imagination, but you were not gifted it. Your selfishness, your my ignorance, my self-righteousness, my religiousness, yani, has caused me to be deprived of an adventure with my next generations that only Allah could give. And COVID came to give you and I that wake-up call. What is coming now, people, for those who did not wake up, is the wa'id. Obviously, you are half asleep, so you don't know. The wa'id is the storm. The storm will come now. The storm is the infatuation of the money magic, okay, where you fear that there would be a cut in the petrol distribution, and you're going to end up as what you were in COVID. But you are going to go there. We are going back there. That was the observation. That came in order for you to get ready so that you could come and prepare over the 7 years, because the truth has arrived, people. The heavens gives you a leeway to prepare yourself. You saw how quiet the world was. You prayed inside your house. Nobody knew. You had no time to judge who is not going and who's going to the mosque, because the heavens wanted to keep it sacred and secret, and not for you to compete in who and how many raka'ats and how many times you go to mosque. Your mosque is in your house. Internally, there is where you need to pray, not outside. That is where your true masjid is, because that's just what is sanctified for you. Allah has given you that space. Nobody can judge you in that space. Nobody can hold you accountable except yourself. That is why you were left to find your flattened curve, your clear conscience, when you went through that 2 years of a metamorphosis in 2020 and 2021. Okay? That was fi yawmayni. That is the alaqa and the mudagha, and that is how you go through the 6 years. That today you should have already attained the merits of akhirah in psychology, in physiology, in biology, in spirituality, in physics, in yani in Jubriya, okay, in alchemy, okay. You should have found all those things if you were a believer, if you found that special wave of Ramadan since 2020 that opened up this age for your new system. Okay, when the heavens comes down, she comes to make a division as what she did. When we came out, our children came in, people. We were omitted. We were destroyed in a psychology. If illa man rahima rabbi, except those who could strip from that devastation, those who could uproot themselves from that narrative, those who could redefine what divinity is, and those who could be part of the task team to never repeat the same mistake that was done by the last generations. Okay, must understand, it is not. There's no hatred here. There's only disgust. It's only disgust to what and how shirk took over religion. Shirk took over your lives. Shirk took over your future. And shirk took over your Jannah and turned it into a living hell. Okay? Allah is not biased. Allah never sent any ummah except a Rasul. And you, my mother, you, my father, you, my brother, you, my sister, you, my child, we received a Rasul, but you and I denied that Rasul and we became kafir. Okay. The Rasul came, your children saw. They saw their parents becoming murtad because they couldn't handle losing all that which they thought was what they trusted to be their security. That was their false gods. That was their false idols. And now, after 7 years of this rehabilitation of the next child, the Radia, يعني أولو الحمل يعني وضع حملهن. Okay. Now we are now going to witness the new birth and the new cycle of this new cosmic conscious intervention and succession. Okay. Those who was exempted, those who were denied it, they will never be able to consolidate and reconcile with this kind of alchemy, this energy that is now, this conscious that is coming in now. Okay. It's something you personally have to deal with, because like what we do to our children when they can see the unseen, we say that they're schizophrenic and we tell them that they are crazy and we give them tablets to make them slow because Allah sent them already in with the insight of what the unseen is, but then you make them into zombies. Okay. Now all that karma that we have collected over this last few years is now going to descend on that planet. On that planet, we eventually cripple that planet forever. Okay. In this last few years, 1,000 rands had to become 100 rand. When you get 100 rand today, it must feel like you're getting 1,000 rands. وَجَعَلَ عَالِيَهَا سَافِلًا. Okay. If you eat 2 slices of bread, you must think that you are eating an imported meal. Okay. That's the gratitude that the heavens was putting forward to you people. Okay. If you did not have a vehicle, then you must be thankful that you have feet and you could use it by Allah's will to move your body, your abdomen, and to keep it in motion at this moment in your lives. You have no idea what you're going through. It's a pity, man. It's a pity. It's a pity how yani, blind you had become in this earth. Okay. However, your children, we will take charge of those soul children with Allah's goodwill. We will take charge of them because you had forsaken them to other gods. Okay. Um, this is the amana. This is the amana that we have to consider in earth to ensure that our ancestors allows us life to return if we take charge of our responsibility. Okay, the techno world is in our advantage. Okay, the ancient intelligence is in our advantage. Okay, the god money that you had that had destroyed your values and your religions and your ibadah, yani, it will not feature in the next generation's lives. Okay, there will not be such a thing as a money idol. Okay, that is why you are still stuck in a four-cornered yani, square. Okay? Um, we had to bring them where the circle was because the circle is built not on four corners, on five, because the crown is the fifth. Okay, that's the Sulaiman. Okay? That's the complete human. That's the full yani, version of the insan. Okay, and this is what your next 7 generations is gifted in the light without your understanding where they're going to. Because you and I did not care where we put them when we opened up the dark room for them to find a life. Okay? وَلَا تَزِرُ وَازِرَةُ وِزْرَ أُخْرَى. They cannot hold us responsible for the things that we did. Allah will have to free them. Okay? That's how nature works. Okay? So their next way of doing things is firstly, they will not find a God in Saudi Arabia. They will not find a prophet that is buried. They will know that they and the ummah in their completeness will receive their messengers and they will receive their messages on time, in conscious, not in the prisons of the unconscious realms where their parents were hostile and left in the tunnels, occupied and invaded on their natural values and sovereign rights. Okay. The parents, the last generation that was destroyed by the COVID يعني reality, they forfeited their sovereign rights and hence they had a god of money that substituted Allah al-Jabbar. Now Al-Qahir is coming in. Okay? The deeds are done, people. The deeds are done. You will now come to realize what was the storm all about. Okay? What you were supposed to have found in 7 years and how fear cannot steer you into this next age, whilst those who did not succumb to their weaknesses, yani, those who had succumbed to their weaknesses and could not upgrade their algorithms and their frequencies to match with the frequency of the new planet, yani يعني Allah يكون في عونك. Allah be at your assistance and all of us inshallah. Nevertheless, it is now almost Maghrib. We wish you and your family a beautiful Eid. Eid Sa'id for your ancestors, for all those who has brought you to this great moment where you could find your amnesty, your sovereignty, and your true eternal soul family that you had lost a moment ago, and Allah re-established that connection. And now you have to maintain that for the eternal journey that awaits each and everyone as we continue this beautiful moment of Ramadan in our daily lives. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
يا مصطفى كل شيء لله يا نورا من نور الله يا مصطفى